Good morning. Good afternoon. We're kind of, it's midday, so it's in between, isn't it? So I hope everybody is having a lovely day. It's Paula Middleton from Manchester in the UK, and I'm coming to you recorded today from Pharmacy for the Mind. And the reason for that is because I'm a little bit busy at midday, so I thought I would just jump on. I didn't want to miss sharing some stuff with you today. But yeah, I hope everybody's well. If you can hear any background noise, it is the cat and the dog, because whilst the kids are at school, they seem to step up to the bar when the kids aren't here, because it would normally be kids that are allowed. It's the dog and the cat because they're just not about stuff. Now I've titled this post as "Traditional Ways Don't Always Open New Doors." And that's the case, I believe, in quite a lot of different ways. So I'm going to talk about how that's different in terms of work and jobs. And as you know, I run my own business. So, well, I run a few different businesses, and I stepped away from the traditional way of doing things quite some time ago in 2015. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but this can apply to anything that you do. I think we're sort of programmed to react in a certain way or act in a certain way and do certain things, but it's not always that traditional and that sort of usual way that is going to help move you forward. So if you're watching this right now, give us a hashtag live or hashtag recording if you'd like to. Any comments below, I will catch up with later on this afternoon. And if there's anything that really resonates with you, come and have a chat. I would love to chat with you about that. I love a good stuff. If you are catching this on replay, give us a hashtag replay. So what I mentioned that I'm going to talk about jobs now. My background and the work that I've done, I have lots of different qualifications that are all around psychology and mental health and learning difficulties, and that's they're the kind of areas that I've worked for a long time. Most of my working life was either managing supported living or working on psychiatric wards, sometimes locked wards, so forensic units, things like that. So people that have maybe not been sound of mind and committed quite horrific crimes, to be honest. I work with young people that have done that. And I tell you, it was the best, most fulfilling job, all of that aspect, working in that area. It was the most fulfilling and the the best kind of job that I've ever done. However, when I started to have children, because they can be quite violent, things in that sort of area, it can be, we have alarms for a reason, especially in sort of locked units. And I used to work in the intensive care unit in a psychiatric hospital near us, and we have alarms with us for a reason, because sometimes people do get so distressed, and oh, that's come up. People get distressed with their mental health and what's going on for them, and they do lash out. So we wear alarms for a reason. And I think when I started having children, I kind of realised that, I'm not invincible. Um, Shortly before I had my first child, I was actually threatened by a young man, and because he was very distressed, he had quite a lot of problems, and I was alone with him in the sort of lounge, and we were just talking, and um, someone walked past, and it triggered him to lash out, and he tried to attack me. So I pulled my alarm, and we also then needed to restrain him. He was getting very upset. And it was at that point, because this lad as well, I knew that he was local to me, and I knew that he I would see him around, and I have done many, many times, and, he basically threatened me and said, "If I ever see you, I will kill you." And I've heard that before. Not often was it aimed at me, but this time just something clicked because 'cause I 'cause I'd had my first child, something clicked and I thought, I need to be a little bit more careful. I've got little ones to be responsible for. And don't get me wrong, it's one of the safest places that you can work, because you have a whole team of people behind you that will help you if anything happens. But it kind of just, I don't know, something clicked in my head. I thought, I'm not sure that I can do this anymore. So I um, I found another job, and this is where I then went and worked for the council. And this is why I'm talking about traditional ways, not always opening new doors. I worked for the council. As soon as I got a job for the council in housing, my family and friends were like, "That is the best move you've ever made because you're guaranteed a job for life with the council." No, you're not. And the reason for that is because there were major cuts. I think I worked there about 5 years, and then the council were making cuts to the funding and all sorts of different things, and I was actually made redundant after that time. So traditionally, years and years ago, you would go into a job like in the housing or in your local authority, and you would know that you'd have a job for life as long as you want it. But unfortunately, that's not the case anymore. There's so much happening in our world and in our society. It's not guaranteed anymore. So I then went into the corporate world for another 5 or 6 years, and it was good. And what I did and what's traditional to do, because but at this point I'd not discovered an alternative way of earning and paying my bills. So this at this time I was following those traditional routes. I was getting promotions. I was working my way up that ladder, and I was doing really well. I was doing really well, but there were office politics going on. Um, there were options to sort of move department, but um, in a traditional sense, that's what we're meant to do when we want to better ourselves. We're expected to spend some time in whatever job that it is that you've first gone for, and then to better yourself, look at other departments or higher paid positions. I was doing all of that. I did all of that in the space of about 5 or 6 years. And I got a promotion not long after I started because I was enjoying it and I was doing the best that I could, and I was quite good at what I was doing. So I did all of that and got the promotions, moved departments, did all of that. But is that a job for life as well? It's not. It was with a very famous healthcare provider that's in Salford Keys. If you know the area, you will know who that is. And although the perks of the job were good, I mean, I got health insurance, which is something that I never thought that I would ever get because it's kind of seen by a lot of people as a luxury, and it's not something I ever really considered. But I got that because I was part of the health insurers team. I was working within the corporate team. Um, but what I found was I'd go and do extra training, but I wouldn't necessarily get that promotion that I was doing the training for. Or I'd go on to other departments to learn different ways of doing things. So that with the potential of thinking, well, I can move departments, it's slightly higher paid. And in that traditional sense, move around and try and find something else that's a better fit, that's higher paid with more skills and things like that. But I was finding that I wasn't necessarily getting the jobs that I was doing all this extra work for. It wasn't guaranteed. Of course, it's not going to be. But it was also something that I felt was taking up some of my time, and I wasn't really reaping those rewards, if you understand me. So I made a decision in 2013, I found network marketing. This conversation isn't going to be just about network marketing, but I found network marketing and direct sales. And then in 2015, I was fortunate enough when I had my third child, Ava, I was fortunate enough to be able to leave the corporate world behind me and concentrate on my work from home business and my direct sales and my network marketing. And it was like a breath of fresh air. And it was the best decision that I ever made, although you do need to have um, a lot of determination and a lot of focus things to work for you when you work from home. But I think over the last 12 months, 9 out of 10 people have had to change the way they work. So working from home is not now something that is kind of it's not something that's frowned upon. It's something that most of us during the last 12 months have had to do because of the situation that the world's in. So the new doors that I'm talking about in a traditional sense, for a traditional job, remember I was moving departments. Yes, that's a positive. I didn't always get the departments that I was training for, so sometimes it could be quite disappointing. You got transferable skills as you're learning new skills and you're in that job for longer and longer. You've got skills that are transferable elsewhere, and it's quite good to socialize because when you're working in a corporate place, there's usually an annual or biannual meeting and get together, and we used to have a we used to have a ball that we would go to every year. And you'd have that social aspect as well because of the people that you're working with. You might go for a couple of drinks after work, things like that. Now, non-traditionally, how does that stack up? How does that stack up when you work from home and you have your own business? Well, having your own business means you're constantly learning new skills. So it's not going to suit everyone. That's not going to suit everyone, but you're constantly upgrading your brain in some ways because there's so much that to learn, but there's so much that you can opt to learn. It's not mandatory. Um, the work that I do is teachable. It's for those that have that like learning new skills and stuff. It's absolutely perfect, but it's not something that you need to have those transferable skills from to use, although it's helpful. This is something that anyone can pick up. So I went for interviews that were very specific to XYZ, and I might have missed out slightly on just one aspect of not having that experience. Now that I work for myself and I've got my own business and my own way of doing things, I don't need to interview myself. I don't need to mark myself out of 10 for the things that I do. It's up to me how I grow, and it's up to me how I want my business to develop. So it's up to me the kind of work that I put into both myself and my business, which is very different. And I think very, very liberating because I don't have to listen to the office politics. I don't need to listen to the complaints some departments got about other departments. I don't need to wait for other people to send me information or things that I might need because I'm doing that myself. And with my team, that's something that we do because we're all our own business owners. So it is really liberating. Now, um, you constantly learning new skills and this freedom, flexibility. I've just wrote a few words down, really just to sort of remind me of what I want to share with you. Because there's so much I could talk about this all day because I'm so passionate about the work from home industry and the network marketing industry. And I think there are so many people that are missing the trick, not getting involved in it, because there is a hell of a lot of money to be made. And if money is your thing, or if, as you know, I'm in travel, if experiences are your thing, then, just talk to me about it because that's something that I can help you with very easily. If money's your thing, I have maybe 3 businesses that I run. You won't know that because I'm not public about 2 of them. But I work and squirrel away in the background and I am making a great amount of money and it's continuing to grow, which is something that you can't necessarily get from a traditional route of doing things, because you're either given a job or you're not. So all the jobs that I was applying for, the departments I worked extra hours in just to get a feel for it and then learn a new sort of skill, I wasn't always guaranteed to get that extra income. Whereas if and when I do the work with my business, it it's an income stream that is just there. It's there, that's the whole point. Um, so it's really good as well because you can pick it up and you can put it down whenever you want. So I've had a few challenges, shall we say. We've had a few sort of personal things going on. I don't know why, but this is new. This is something that I thought I'd try today, and now it's appearing on my face. Watch this, watch this, watch this. Oh, oh. Sorry, I just had to do it. But yeah, so I've had a few things happening lately, and I've not been able to put in as much as I normally would to my business. But there's two things here, because that what that means for me is I might not be earning the amount that I was before. However, that's not the case, because the way that my businesses work is you do one thing basically. If you want to know more, ask me. You do one thing, but that one thing, it sort of cascades down to everything else, to lots of different things happening. It's kind of like the ripple effect. You do one thing and you're receiving an income consistently, whether I work my business or not. The only difference with that really is that I know my business can help thousands upon thousands of people. And so for me, I put my own pressure on myself. So when I've got a few personal things going on, I know I've got to take that time away. I know that I do, and that's exactly what I do. Um, but I don't stop there. I get back on the horse and I share my business with other people because of how it can help those other people. So I am earning from my businesses, but I want to continue sharing it, which then in turn, it's kind of a byproduct of the fact that I'll earn more. So it's not necessarily for me, it's not necessarily about filling up my bank account, although I'm very happy with that being a side effect of what I do anyway. But imagine that. Imagine working in a big corporate office and you decide, oh, I'm not really feeling it today. I'm just going to sit at my desk and do nothing. Would you get away with that? No. Although when I did work in corporate, there were plenty of people that tried to be fair. But you wouldn't get away with that because you've got your managers telling you X, Y, Z. You've got your directors saying you need to increase your performance or whatever it may be. Whereas I know I can sit or I can do nothing for a couple of days. If I need to take that self-care time, I can. And I don't have anyone telling me, well, your performance needs to improve. You need to be doing more calls. You need to be doing this, that, and the other, because it's up to me. And I'm aware of what that means for my business. And I'm also aware of the fact that it's only temporary that I might be taking a break because I'll be jumping back on that horse. So that's something to bear in mind because we can't always have that flexible. Well, we can never have that flexibility in an employed position. So starting your own business, going the non-traditional route, really is something that you should consider. And it's something that you can actually do alongside working. Because the businesses that I do the three businesses, just focusing on one and maybe do 2 hours a day for that. And so you go to work, come home, get the kids in bed, couple of hours. Yes, you might have to sacrifice Coronation Street or a couple of TV programs, but 2 hours and you've got an additional stream of income. And that, I mean, that can go wherever you want to take it as well. So yeah, it is really, really exciting. But I'm teaching the kids about things like this, and I always have done. I've taught my children to be really independent, sometimes too independent. I'm sure some of you can relate to that. But really think outside the box with how they want to go forward with their career. So we've got Josh, who's 14. He does really want to be a police officer. Now, I will never stand in the way of what my kids want to do, although it does worry me slightly, because of the police and all the things that happen, that potentially can happen with the police. But it's a very good and respected job to have. But what he's doing in the meantime, he's 14, he absolutely loves football. He's had the opportunity to become a young referee, and he is currently training. So he did his first week last week, and then he's got some more next week, and it's a weekly sort of event. It was cancelled yesterday for a reason out of his control, but he gets paid referee children's matches, which I think is fantastic. I think it's an amazing opportunity, and it will teach him responsibility, although he's quite responsible anyway. But I noticed outside yesterday he was teaching Ava how to be a goalkeeper. So he's the eldest of the bunch, and he's helping my youngest two and Oscar to build on skills, and I absolutely loved it because he's he's working refereeing with children her age and slightly above, between 5 and 7, and I know that he is an absolute sucker for being just an absolute diamond with little kids. He's so good with my youngest two, and I know that he will bring a lot to that refereeing role. It's not necessarily a traditional way of looking at things. I know that a lot of Sunday league and grassroots football, they are crying out for referees, and it's something that, I'm really proud of him for doing. And it's an opportunity that I came across, but I wouldn't have necessarily thought that would be the way, a way to go. And he's like looking outside the box, and he's going for it. And that's because of what we instill in him, to realize that he doesn't have to follow that traditional route. He can look at different ways of making money. Another um, example would be Isabel, and she's 12. Now, many years ago, I actually started with Imperial Candles. If you don't know who they are, they're amazing. It's basically big candles, and they have jewelry inside, really special, really lovely. But I've since gone into travel, and that's kind of taken most of most of my time up. So she was looking through some of my business stuff the other day. She's like, Imperial Candles, could I do that? I said, of course you can. So we've had a chat, and I know she's 12, so just don't send the police or anything like that. But with my guidance, she's actually going to be taking over my Instagram, that I use. It's not one that I've shared very often on Facebook, but she's going to be, I will share it with you if you want to see it, but she's going to be taking over one of my Instagram accounts, and she's going to be marketing Imperial Candles, and she's going to be earning money from it. It's direct sales, and she gets a commission on what she sells. And with her being down with the kids, because she is a kid, I'm hopeful that she's going to do really well with it. So I'm excited about that. But for her to be so open, I must be doing something right, because I don't necessarily think that traditional ways will always open new doors. When it comes to what I do as a networker, and since leaving the corporate world behind, since then, I've been involved in 4 books. So I'm a published author. 4 books I've got under my belt now. 4. And it's because of networking. It's not because I was in the corporate world, it's because of networking. I've also spoken on stage a number of times. I've held workshops. I've been on on BBC Radio, Salford City Radio, and I've been to some award ceremonies for the Bangladeshi community in Birmingham. Oh my word. I mean, it's the works. The mayor was there. Oh, it was just incredible. And none of these things have come about because of my corporate work. All of these things have come about because of my networking. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much. I should write it all down, really. I should write a book, I think. Um, so yeah, I wanted to share that with you so that you get the opportunity as well to think outside the box, because the same happens for our mental health as well. When there's mental health stuff going on, I can speak from very good experience with regards to this. First thing we do, we go see a doctor. Sometimes we get medication. Sometimes we go for speaking therapies. Sometimes there are group or family therapies, all sorts of different things that you can consider when it comes to your mental health. Now, when I have difficult episodes, I have taken medication. I have taken antidepressants, and I'm not ashamed of that. But what I found over the past sort of few years, and please be aware that I am not a qualified medical professional. You should always check with your GP or medical provider first as to how to go about these things, and you should never ever cold turkey off any antidepressants or mental health related medication. Any medication really, you've got to check with your doctor. But what I found over the last couple of years is there's so many different ways that you can actually reboot your brain with the things that you're doing. So traditionally, we would go to the doctor. I'll talk about my journey. I would get antidepressants. I would take them for 6, 12 months. I would feel better after a month or so. I would feel much better. But it's not until I've looked at the non-traditional options, such as meditation. Meditation is life-changing, but you do have to persevere with it. It's something that you have to learn. Also, thinking the psychology behind why you feel the way that you do. Learning about the fact that I can have a thought and it triggers a feeling in me. But if I'm aware of what that thought is and why it's triggered that feeling, then I can take a hold of it a little bit better. And what I love about that is it actually rewires you over time if you continue to do things like that. And gratitude lists are amazing, and affirmations are amazing. If you continue to do work like that over a period of time, 21 days minimum, because that's how long it is to develop a habit, and these are good habits to have. But when you continue to do work like that, it actually has the capability, from what I've seen and what I've experienced personally, to reprogram your brain, because your brain, your subconscious, does not know what's real and what's not real. So I am sat on a sofa. I am at the computer. I am doing a live. Well, I'm doing a recording to share with my Pharmacy for the Mind group. That's what I'm doing. I'm physically here. That's what's happening. But if I were to take a moment, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, to do a meditation and imagine myself at the beach, hearing the waves lapping on the shore, into the birds and the seagulls squawking in the air, and enjoying the moment of feeling my toes in the warm sand, and feeling those things, it hits my brain into believing that's where I am. And that's kind of the whole ethos of why we meditate, because it actually helps your brain and your subconscious to tap into something that might not be happening right now. I'm not on the beach, I'm sat on the sofa, but I'm telling my brain I'm at the beach, and it brings down that level of stress. I'm feeling stressed, for example, or if I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed, it brings that adrenaline down because I'm telling my brain that I am actually in a place of calm. And when you see these things, when you feel these things happening, it's mind blowing because this is totally non-traditional. Not many doctors will tell you about this kind of stuff, the fact that we can help our own brains in this way, um, because it's something that I'm not going to get into a political debate about pharmaceuticals. We'll leave that there, but it's not something that's widespread, but it's starting to become that because people over this last 12 months are exploring different ways of managing their anxieties and stresses, um, and most people are turning to non-traditional options, which is exactly why I've got this group here. So what I will do, I think in the guides there's a list of some meditations that you can do if that's something of interest to you. What I think I might do as well is just share in the comments here my link tree. If you've heard of Linktree, it's a website that you can add all of your stuff to. So you can add your website, your businesses, if you've got multiple businesses, you can add anything you like, basically. And I'm going to add that link to the comments below so that you can just check out everything that it is that I work on. Um, and why why my time is quite precious and I've got to plan everything like 6 months in advance, even though I'm a little behind with that. And why I've got to really kind of think about how I plan these things and how I work things out. But you don't have to follow tradition to get results. You don't have to follow tradition in jobs, in mental health, in emotional health, in physical health as well. You can do whatever feels good for you is what you should be doing. So if traditional doesn't fit with you anymore, check out non-traditional and see how that goes. So I hope you've got value from this. If any of this resonates, and you want to chat again, just get in touch. My inbox is always open. If you know anyone that this would resonate, please add them to the group because there's going to be lots and lots of stuff coming through this group that is going to be, well, it is life-changing because I'm living it. And I wouldn't want anyone that sort of has that curiosity miss any of the stuff that I'll be sharing. So please add them to the group and have an absolutely amazing, amazing day. And I will speak to you very soon. Yeah. Bye.